Joining me in the studio now is Riffat Javed, who's from Lahore herself, but lives in Leicester now. Riffat, very good evening.
Very good evening.
Thank you for joining us, unfortunately on such a sad occasion. What was your initial reaction when you heard of what had happened? And it happened at Easter time, when there was so much celebration in the Christian community, and you, of course, yourself are Christian.
Absolutely. First, I would like to say a big thank you for inviting me to come and speak here. As it's not a very pleasant talk, I'm afraid. Completely heartbroken, distraught. I've got my family lives in there. When I heard this news, I was actually in a church having a service going on, my own service. We were towards the end of the service celebrating Easter bunnies and Easter eggs, celebrating with the other children. And my sister came up to the stage because I was actually on a stage doing all this celebration, and she came and told me, we got this bad news from Lahore. And because being myself from that same city, I had my celebration in that very much same park, Gulshan Iqbal Park, when I got engaged.
Oh, goodness.
I have given my engagement party in that very same place where all this thing happened. I was completely, we have to stop our celebration in our church and just get together and pray for these children, those that died in there.
Absolutely, and I suppose your first thought would have been with your family and friends. You say you still have family and friends there in Lahore. Have you had a chance to speak to them, and presumably they're all well? And
naturally, it's an immediate react. I was on the phone next minute to speak to my sisters regarding if they are safe. I've got a very dear friend of mine. She's been saved by a couple of minutes only. She was on her way with her children to the same park, and diverted simply because it was too busy there, and she just couldn't get in there. So she came back to the park. If she would have been in there, the story would have been different.
That's a frightening thought, isn't it?
It's very frightening.
We just heard from the lawyer, Huma Zaman, who says there's a real sense of fear in the city. I mean, fear, of course, is a natural reaction from people of all sorts of backgrounds in Pakistan. But what was your feeling when you first heard about this? I mean, you obviously were concerned about your family and stuff, but was there anger as well for what had happened? Because it appears that, the Christian community was specifically targeted in this instant.
To be very honest, there is no doubt in it that on that particular day, because it's Easter Sunday, and they knew that the Christians will come out to celebrate, and because they are very deprived, they are not very rich people, those they can sit in a 5-star hotels and eat there. This is the only very cheap type of refreshment for them to take their kids out and enjoy. And on top of that, the weather was very good. So they didn't want to sit inside the houses. They took their children out in there to just have a fun, just have a good day, and not knowing this is what they're going to face it. There's a lots of anger still going on in there, because Christians, they feel not very safe in Pakistan anymore. And there is no doubt this was a deliberate target only on the Christians. There was few Muslims as well in there, which I do feel for them as well, because they didn't go there to die. They died, but they died with the Christians simply.
Who's your anger aimed towards? Is it the terrorists, or is it the Pakistani government for perhaps, and the authorities then, for not doing enough to protect the Christian community?
Both. Because I would say that terrorists, they are nobody's relative. They don't love anybody. And the government has failed big time to protect Christian in Pakistan, because this is not the first attack. There is so many in past happened. They destroyed villages and villages altogether. They have burned Christian alive. There is one innocent woman, they could not prove so far that she's actually has done any blasphemy. She's in a prison for how many years now? Asiya Bibi, her name is.
Bibi, yeah.
And she's still in there. Nothing is. The government is not doing anything. I think the government is failing. They're not doing enough.
What can the government do? What can they do to protect the Christian or the minority communities there?
They need to change the law, I'm afraid. This blasphemy law is not good enough, for not just for Christians, for everybody in there, and particularly Christians. Christians being targeted.
But it wouldn't be a very
and
popular move, would it? I mean, we've seen the reaction from recent times. For example, when the hanging took place of somebody who'd murdered a politician,
that's
who'd
right,
actually
yes.
supported the Christian community,
community.
and people came out and actually were mourning at the hanging of this particular person.
They are still favouring him. This is thing the government needs to take action upon. They need to see that because this has come very clear. This is very in front of the eyes of government to know that these people are actually. If they can come together for a murderer, how dare they? Why a government can't see he was a murderer?
Well, maybe the government can see it, but it seems like there's a big a percentage of people in Pakistan who actually have those unsavory views, and maybe that's the difficulty for the government, isn't it, to kind of repeal a law which would be hugely unpopular in Pakistan.
You're saying right in a way, but what I say that is the Pakistan is not just for the Muslims. There is lots of minorities. There is the Hindus, there is Sikhs, there is different denominations in Muslim as well. Those that don't count them actual Muslim, they call them minorities, and the Christians as well. Christians are very small. When there is lots of other bombs happen, there's lots of Muslims die. I do feel for them as well. Because I'm a human and I'm a Christian. I've got very good heart. I cry for them as well. But there's a number of so many Muslims in there, and Christians are just minute. Imagine if you're killing 10 Muslims, there is millions in there. But if you're killing 100 Christians, there is only few hundred Christians in there.
It's a significant percentage, isn't it? So, what do you think the aftermath of this particular disaster will be? Because, there has been a bit of a backlash. People of Pakistan have spoken up. The government has taken action with some arrests. Do you think this is a significant milestone? Do you think attitudes will change in Pakistan after this, or is it just yet another sad incident and people will forget it very quickly?
It's going to be forgotten very soon, I'm afraid. There was a recent attack in one of the two churches were blasted just 1 year before. They have already completely forgotten. And these arrests, they've been just to blind my eyes for time being. They will be released next minute again. Won't be long before they will be left out.
Do you think, Riffat, people from the Christian community will leave Pakistan if this sort of thing continues?
They are eager to leave. They are eager to leave as much as I love my own country. I love Pakistan. I lived in there. I'm born in there. I've studied in there. That's my home place. But people are not safe in there. And there is nothing much more than when you see your children dying before your eyes. Who would love to stay in there? Nobody wants to stay in there. They all wanted to leave.
Absolutely. Riffat, thank you so much for joining us. Riffat Javed from Lahore herself, lives in Leicester now, from the Christian community in Pakistan, with her reaction to the bomb blast which killed over 70 people in Lahore during the Easter weekend. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for calling me in here.
Be part of it.
BBC Radio Leicester.